This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
Well, the Suns have a new coach, so let's get right to it. Let's phone some friends. First, let's go out to Cleveland, and you search around Twitter, and you just see who's got the good content out there. And we went to Fear the Sword, and we found Jackson Flickinger, who was he posts about the Cavs, maybe some Star Wars tweets as well. So maybe we'll get his Wookiee call. We like to do that here on The Extra Point. But first of all, Jackson, how are you today? And what is your reaction to Jordan Ott becoming the next head coach of the Phoenix Suns?
I'm doing good, and I'm not surprised that he got the job once the list was narrowed down. But if you told me right after the season that the Suns would go for a Jordan Ott type coach, I would have been surprised.
Interesting. Yeah, I think we've all been surprised around here the past couple of years, but change is in the wind here. So it's hard because I don't know that I can give you like a real in-depth analysis of all of the assistant coaches that have come through Phoenix the past couple of years, except saying hello to them while doing live shots on the news. But are you able to kind of give us an idea of how Jordan Ott helped the Cavs become what they became this year?
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of start with Kenny Atkinson's main goal when he first got here to Cleveland, which was last summer, was to really up the Cavs player development system. And that, the Cavs were an up-and-coming team, but they were also a team ready to compete. And I think it's one of the things where we think of player development, we think of like a Charlotte Hornets needing a player development type guy and not a team that's already more so fully developed. But the Cavs kind of took a different approach where like, every team you need your players to develop and improve, and that's what Kenny Atkinson did. And the first guy that he brought in was Jordan Ott to help him do that. And when you look at the guys that improved for the Cavs, Evan Mobley is the first one that comes to mind, and Jordan Ott worked one-on-one with Evan Mobley a lot of this season. He's the guy that behind the scenes they kind of point to him as being the guy who really helped Evan Mobley this season. So that's kind of a concern that the Cavs have, is like who is going to step up and help Evan Mobley with Jordan Ott gone. But that also, Evan Mobley's a great player, but Jordan Ott's ability to kind of get through to him and allow him to really take the next step. He became an all-star for the first time this year, was the defensive player of the year. And that, it does coincide with Jordan Ott working with him.
Interesting. So are the Suns are they rating Dan Gilbert's coaching staff here, the rivalry between Ishbia and Gilbert? Is this real? Can you feel it now that the Suns went and took your guy?
That's always been real. I think that this, just took it to another level, but kind of the reporting like, oh, they've narrowed it down to two, and oh, guess what? It's the two guys on the Cavs assistant coaching staff. Like, I think that's, that really kind of showed that, I don't know, you can kind of see the rivalry there.
Interesting. Okay, so if you had an owner that went to Michigan State and won a national championship and hired his assistant coach who was on that bench, and people were a little, I don't know, they weren't really thrilled with his resume, and so based on last year, I'm just saying if this was the Cavs, there's a lot of upset Suns fans. And if you hired a guy as the coach who also had Michigan State somewhere on his resume, would you look at that side-eyed, or would you say Tom Izzo is one of the greatest coaches of all time? These guys probably know basketball.
Well, the Cavs have been in that position a lot. They hired John Beeline from Michigan, not Michigan State, but Dan Gilbert likes guys who've been anywhere near the state of Michigan and done anything basketball related. He hired him. It went horribly. They tried to get Chauncey Billups to head up their basketball operations, Detroit Pistons legend. They've tried to get Tom Izzo a lot. The Cavs even, Tom Izzo is somebody who really recommended Kenny Atkinson to Dan Gilbert. So that's, there's always been a Michigan State influence with the Cavs. So I get, anytime I hear Tom Izzo or Michigan State, I do kind of roll my eyes, so I 100% get that. But unlike John Beeline, who was a great college coach but not really qualified to coach the NBA, Jordan Ott is a bona fide, somebody who's for sure like capable of coaching an NBA team. He's done he's done his work behind the scenes. He's well respected in NBA circles, so I do get people saying that, but I would say that this is a good hire for the Suns, as in Jordan Ott is a really, he should be a good coach. Whether or not he fits with what the Suns are trying to do with their timeline, I think that's another question, but I think it's a good hire.
Interesting. Yes, none of us know what the Suns are trying to do with their timeline. They're just probably trying to clean up a mess right now and trade Durant and do something with Bradley Beal. Tell us about Fear the Sword. Where can we find it, and what are you kind of burning on for your next piece of content?
So head to fearthesword.com. Right now, we are, we do try to have the best Cavs coverage of anybody online. Unfortunately, the Cavs are out of the playoffs a little sooner than they expected. I was expecting this team to go to the finals, but they didn't. So now we're pivoting to draft coverage, which is always exciting, especially when you only have second-round picks. So That's what I'm currently working on. But head to fearthesword.com. Follow me on X at Jackson Flickinger, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. NBA Finals preview or pick. Who do you? I mean, can Indiana? You watch them up close and personal. Can they shock the world here?
They can shock the world. I would not pick them to shock the world, but I've kind of picked against them in the first round series, and obviously picked against them in the second round series. So I've been surprised before, but I'm going to say Thunder in 6. They are just so good.
No, that seems about right. We got two guys with Arizona ties there, and Jalen Williams, who played high school ball here, and Lou Dort, who wasn't even drafted out of ASU and making an impact. So I don't know. Are you up for a Wookiee call, or should we call back at some point when we do like a whole Star Wars thing? Dick, do you have a good one? I've got one.
I don't have.
Okay.
I don't have a good one. Yeah, sorry. That's not my thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just thought I'd ask live here on the show.
Yeah.
But if you want, go to my Instagram. We did a whole. I can't really dial it up. I need to warm up a little bit. But we had a Star Wars guy on, and we all did them. And maybe next time I'll just invite you back, and you can just listen in. Sound good?
That sounds good. Thanks. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for the time. So let's phone another friend here, a man who is no stranger to these airwaves on Arizona's Family. Fresh off. Have you been broadcasting since like this announcement started? Espo from PHNX. Are we catching you like during a commercial on your stream, or are you taking a break here?
No, man, I have management duties now, so I can't just sit on the stream the whole time. I put in a good 45 minutes, and then I went to the other part of the job. But I took a few minutes for you away from the spreadsheets and everything to talk some Suns. All right.
Yeah. Well, how's your budget looking now that Jordan Ott is the head coach of the Suns? Is this how does this move the meter?
Well, it ain't my money, so my budget looks just fine. Honestly, I know there's a lot of anger out there. I know there's a lot of frustration, and I'm not one of those people. I look at it, and people, are trying to paint this as if Jordan Ott had no real experience, as if he just came out of the video room from Michigan State University and all of a sudden fell into a head coaching job in the NBA. He's been a longtime assistant, a video coordinator, has been the head coach in Summer League 3 different times for the 3 different teams he had been with. I do not see where the anger is coming from. Now, I understood the frustration with Brian Gregory because he didn't have the prerequisite experience, but Jordan Ott was a finalist for the Charlotte job last year. He's a guy that is well respected. Was talking with NBA insider Mark Stein on our Southwest Bias show earlier today, and he said he can't find a guy that he talked to, including Steve Nash, who he coached under, that has a bad word to say about Jordan Ott. So the angst, the anger, I don't think is being directed in the right place, if you will.
I just saw Steve Nash yesterday, and I didn't bring up Jordan Ott because I didn't know this was going to happen today. We talked kids, we talked basketball, just super, super like warm, nice, always giving of his time, and I didn't ask him about Jordan Ott. So I'm very curious to know what he would have to say about that. He kind of ran his offense, right?
Hold on, I just gotta say, I name drop and then you gotta one up me. Is that what we just did? Yeah, I say Mark Stein. You know, Steve Nash. I saw him.
I was literally like, he was like working out, and he came by. And I mean,
now you're bragging. You go to the gym too. I see how it is, Mark.
Yes. You want to know anything else about me, or should we continue our conversation about this?
We'll probably get back to Jordan Ott.
The most interesting thing about me, really, it was that doesn't happen every day. Usually, it's a lot of making sandwiches for people and driving people to places where I don't get to have fun, but everybody else gets to. Kind of like doing budgets and spreadsheets. But yeah, Jordan Ott. It seems like he ran Steve Nash's offense, though. It seems like that's something that Suns fans could get behind.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've seen is he's a creative offensive mind. He also actually, from people I talk to, is a creative defensive mind as well. That's a guy that makes adjustments and kind of is good at understanding the trends going on in the NBA and approaching the game that way, which is something we can't say about the last two head coaches of the Phoenix Suns. In particular, Mike Budenholzer last year, adjustment was a word that I don't think he knew, because it's especially in-game adjustments, they didn't happen. So that's supposedly a strong point for Jordan Ott. So, I like that he ran Nash's offense. I like that he was a key piece in the Cleveland coaching staff as well. And I know people point and go, well, Johnny Bryant was the associate head coach. Well, I talked to, a former NBA assistant coach today that said that title really doesn't mean anything and really doesn't mean that much of additional responsibility. It's more, well, this guy's been here, or this guy is, we can't give him any other kind of, promotion, so we name him associate head coach, so he feels a little bit better about it. Then that's not a knock on Johnny Bryant. I just know people were like, well, Jordan Ott wasn't the associate head coach. Okay, great. So he didn't have a fancy title. That's fine with me.
But he was the Summer League head coach. So I'm wondering how much we go dig into the Summer League last year and say, okay, this is who Jordan Ott is.
He was the Summer League coach with Brooklyn as well. So he's got experience doing that. And I know that's not the same as being an NBA head coach, but it is something. He was entrusted with that player development, which is another thing that he's touted for. And if the Suns are truly going into this retool kind of rebuild phase, you need a guy that's good with player development, because young talent that can grow and have an impact is going to be important when you're kind of in salary cap hell like they are.
And I don't know what to expect next year. And I don't think it's fair to even ask, because Kevin Durant has to exit stage left. We don't know if Bradley Beal is going to be on the court or it goes home, what the roster looks like. But we do know that Matt Ishbia and Brian Gregory have talked about trying to be competitive next year and trying to make a run at the playoffs. Does that satisfy you as somebody who has to watch? I heard you say on your stream today, I got paid to watch all these games and it was still torture.
I mean, it was the way that they played and the lack of heart. I mean, when the fans seem more passionate than the play on the court, that's the problem. And I think that's more of what they are getting at when Matt Ishbia steps up to the podium, or Brian Gregory, and says, we want a team that this city can be proud of. I think it's, they go out there and they work their backsides off game in, game out. Now, do I think wanting to simply make the playoffs is good enough? No, of course not. You play to win a championship. If you're not in that, that's problematic, but you also backed yourself into a corner. And now you got to find a realistic way to get out of it. And that's not going to be a one-year fix. So if you're better than last year, you're in playoff contention. That is, as much as nobody wants to hear this, a step forward from being 10 games under 500 and one of the most embarrassing teams that have taken the court in Phoenix history.
And if you are competitive, if the town rallies around you, do you have Michigan State night just for fun?
I think that if you have won the hearts and minds of Suns fans, you can be sarcastic like that, a little cheeky, a little wink, wink. If you don't, you better have good insurance on the building, because I don't think that's going to go very well for you if you do that.
I'm here for it, and I'm always here for a conversation with you. So tell me, when's the next time you're going to wax poetic about the Suns, and what's your coverage plan as we wait to hear from Jordan Ott for the first time as the Phoenix Suns head coach?
Well, you can catch me on our all-new program, Southwest Bias, live at 11 a.m. Every day on the PHNX Sports YouTube page. And you can catch my guys, Steven and Eric, on PHNX Suns live every day at 3 p.m. or when news breaks. So we got you covered across the board when it comes to Phoenix Suns Insight.
All right, finals prediction here. Anyway, Indiana shocks the world.
I hope so. I actually enjoy Indiana. I love a good underdog story. And you know what? I stand strong with my Seattle brethren. I do not like the Zombie Sonics being in the finals.
Yes. Yeah. And they got rid of the best mascot ever, Squatch. Maybe they still have something like that at Oklahoma City.
No, they got Rumble, and it's pathetic.
Yeah,
The whole brand is pathetic.
Right. Let's bring back the Sonics, man. I was at the Sonic station for 3 years and did Sonics updates back when Flip Murray and Danny Fortson, the baddest man in pigtails. You had Jerome James. You had Ray Allen. That was a fun team, man.
Do you want to go halvesies? Maybe we can. We're almost to the $4 billion it'll cost to bring the Sonics back.
Once this podcast takes off a little more, I'm in.
That sounds good.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for the time, man. Good seeing you, and be well.
Anytime, Mark.
All right, who's our next guest? Having some fun with friends here, making calls to different experts on Jordan Ott becoming the next head coach of the Phoenix Suns. Brendan Kleen from Locked On Suns joins us now, and I guess busy day for you. How much have you been broadcasting since this announcement came down this morning?
So far, just one podcast episode. We'll see what else happens throughout the day. I mean, I'm waiting for the press conference really to see. I want to hear from the man himself. We all have our opinions, but he's kind of an unknown. So I want to know more before I really come out. I know fans are already, they've picked their side, but I'm trying to be patient here.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, is Michigan State thing a big deal for you? For me, I'm like, it's not like they hired I don't know, what's a team that never makes the NCAA tournament? It's not like I don't want to cast, UTEP never makes a tournament. It's like, that's not a bunch of you. It's just like a really, Tom Izzo is one of the greatest coaches of all time. It doesn't bother me.
And here's the thing too, right? He's been in the NBA for 12 years. He's worked for, some people he actually comes from the Bud coaching tree. Mike Budenholzer, the former coach, he got his start under him in Atlanta, which is funny. But he's worked under Steve Nash, who Suns fans should love to hear the name of. He's been, a offensive guy for great teams, including the Cavs this past season. This isn't somebody where you could have an issue, I think, with Josh Bartelstein, the president of the team, CEO, who got hired at a really young age from the Detroit Pistons based on some connections that were there, or Brian Gregory, where the new GM, there wasn't much of a search that happened, and all of a sudden he's now the GM, and he's telling us to our faces, oh, it's just because of the connections and the relationships. That doesn't feel good to hear. Jordan Ott was a finalist for the Charlotte Hornets coaching job last year. He's a well-regarded assistant. You can find tons of information about him. So to me, he got in the door maybe because of those connections. It may have helped him along this search, but I can't get all the way too frustrated that that's the only reason he's here, or he's not qualified. I can't reasonably make that argument.
But I'm worried now we're headed in the direction where we're covering the Charlotte Hornets. Are my concerns valid?
We'll have to see, right? I mean, I think book stamp of approval is the other part of this that jumps out to me, because if you had just kind of seen the names, right? Like when it got whittled down 15, 8, 5, down to 2, whatever, like some of the names we saw, Chris Quinn from Miami, that's a former player, former professional championship winning player. If you went to, Micah Nori in Minnesota, he has a reputation. We all see him on the sideline when he had to fill in last year as the head coach. He's animated. He's great with the media, rah guy. Jason Kidd's right-hand man in Dallas, Sean Sweeney, was reportedly part of this. You would have thought those types of dudes, based on their rep, you would have said Book will pick one of those. If he had to give his say, that's who he would go with. Instead, from everything we're hearing, Book really got behind this relatively anonymous guy who we all thought was only part of the search in the first place because he wore green and white once upon a time, right? So it almost feels like there's some conflicting what really made this get across the finish line. And you kind of have to pick and choose what you think, again, until we hear from him. But I can't be mad about the Michigan State side and also think Book knows what he's talking about. You kind of got to pick one, and I'm leaning toward Book. I can't lie.
And you know what? You know what is making me go, I'll buy this for $1. Watching the way the Mercury play, I think they're able to identify basketball people over there. And I'm watching the Mercury this year, and I'm saying, Nick Urin and Nate Tibbetts know what they're doing, and I think they're looking for people who know what they're doing. And so that, I mean, honestly, I think we're going to be having this conversation until they string together 4 or 5 straight wins. Fair?
Probably. And it is going to be harder to evaluate than the previous ones, right? Because Bud and Vogel, the job was go win a championship. It's pretty black and white. This year, it'll be like, does Ryan Dunn get a little better, round out his offensive game? Do the rookies look good? Does Book get back to the Book we know? The expectations are going to be very different, and that could help him because it's not so pass-fail, but it also is a tougher job because, hey, get us back to where we just were. Get us back to the mountaintop, first-timer. That's a big ask.
It is. I mean, what's your plan here as far as coverage goes? More podcasts today. There's not a whole lot to chew on. You just keep kind of reading his resume and saying, well, we're waiting for a news conference. So do you dive into like the Cavs summer league record and how they ran the offense and defense? Where do we go from here?
I know, right? It's interesting. There are some like things you could get excited about. I mean, he in Brooklyn, he was called Steve Nash's offensive coordinator, and not to get too nerdy, but they played very Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni, who was an advisor over there, type of basketball. They were 5 out, they were running and gunning. Obviously, they were kind of a super team with KD and Durant and Kyrie, but they tried some things. They had Bruce Brown, the dude who used to play in Denver. He was playing center over there, and they were credited with, kind of inventing that type of thing. And the Cavs, I mean, if you watch Cleveland this year, they got trounced in the playoffs in the second round, but they were cutting. They were playing beautiful basketball. There's all sorts of stuff you can point to. This guy coached LeBron a couple years ago as a pretty high-level offensive assistant. I mean, I think the more Suns fans let the initial questioning perspective kind of pass, look at what he's done. Look at what he's accomplished. Look at what people have said about him. This dude seems like a basketball junkie who has the bona fides, so to speak, right? Like I think I'm excited to see what he does. That's where I'm at.
All right, and I'm gonna just say this: you have the bona fides as well. Love the show. It's on the Z Map too, right? I mean, like we're like almost coworkers now. Like I can get my show right next to Locked On the NBA and Locked On Suns. I think we'll be
try to be every. I don't know where they put us at this point. We're on fast channels. We're on YouTube. We're on podcast platforms. Just Google Locked On Suns, and I'm sure you'll get what you want.
Awesome. When can we find you again? When will you be? How are you going to spend the rest of your day?
Episode just went up Wednesday afternoon. We'll have another one for you Thursday night, and we're here every day for you. So that's the plan.
All right. Finals prediction real quick. Anyway, Indiana shocks the world.
Oh. No, I feel like people are giving Indiana a game just to be nice. I'm kind of thinking the Thunder might just sweep.
Yeah, I feel that way too, but there's something magical about Indiana, even just the beating Cleveland. I mean, even beating Milwaukee, it was just like, what? Where did this come from? Yeah. So I think there's an intangible there with the way they put together the team, and I think Siakam is kind of an X factor here. I'm not saying they win, but I think it might be a little closer than Blowout City, and we're on to draft coverage and when they will trade Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I don't like rooting against a competitive series because I want to watch good finals basketball. But yeah, I mean, the Suns off season is about to pick up regardless of what happens in the championship series, because it already in the articles about them hiring Ott, they're expected to trade KD soon. It's like, all right, one thing to the next. Here we go.
Right. No summer vacations for you. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the time, and look forward to hearing the next episode, and look forward to having you on again next time there's big news. You have some time. Awesome. Appreciate the time.
Mark. This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.